Hello guys and welcome back to another video. So today I will be trying to survive 100 days in Minecraft Hardcore. Will I survive, or will I die? Let the 100 days begin. So when I spawned in my world, I started mining trees, made a wood pickaxe, and went exploring, and while exploring, I had found a ruined portal. The ruined portal had okay stuff, and it also had 2 gold blocks, which I couldn't get because I didn't have an iron pickaxe. After looting the ruined portal, I went mining on a mountain. And that's when I decided to build my house in one of these mountains. So I started digging a hole in a mountain so I could make it my base. But since my hunger levels started dropping, I decided to hunt some animals. After that, I went to work on my base, because it clearly needed a lot of work. While working on my base, I saw that the sun was setting, and nighttime was really close, but since I didn't have a bed, I ignored it and continued on working my base, eventually finishing it, for now, and opening a mine, because caves were really risky. When I was mining, I had stumbled upon some iron, so of course I mined it, and continued on my mining trip. Eventually, I had found a ravine, but I definitely was not going in there, because I didn't have any armor or good weapons, and there were many mobs in it. When I reached diamond level, I had found a cave with bunch of lava in it, so I carefully bridged across the lava, but turns out, it didn't have many ores in it, despite having some redstone and iron. So I decided to go back to my base and smelt the iron I had collected, and turns out, it was already day 1, I just didn't notice. Then, I crafted myself an iron pickaxe and went back mining, because I needed some gear. After my mining trip ended, I smelt all of my iron, and crafted myself some armor, and went back mining again, because I didn't have a bed to sleep in. While on my mining trip, I had found this. As you can see, there were many diamonds, but there was a lot of lava too, so I went back to craft a water bucket and went to mine those diamonds. Also, I had found an axolotl, so of course I picked him up, and decided to call him Bubbles. After that successful mining trip, I went back to create a diamond pickaxe and started working on my base. When I was done, it looked trash, but for now it was good enough. Then I went to get some wool because I was tired with not having a bed. When I was back I did this so when I wanted to expand my base I wouldn't have to deal with holes. Then I started expanding my base, eventually finishing for now. And I even created a bed so the days will pass faster. Then I started decorating my base, and when I finished, it definitely looked kinda better. But I didn't stop there, because I needed to expand my base even more, so I kept working. When I finished the second room, which was gonna be the chest room, I knew I was gonna need a lot of wood, so I mined down many trees for the chest room. When I finished the chest room, my house was obviously progressing, but I knew I still had much more work to do. Then I decided to mine some obsidian for the nether portal and the enchanting table, and as you can see, I'm having so much fun mining obsidian. When I was back from mining, I made a sugarcane farm, a seed farm, and also put glass panes on my house, and I think it looked kinda bad but it was fine for now. Then I made an enchantment table and instantly enchanted my gear, even if the enchantments were bad. Then I made a nether portal, and when I went in, the spawn wasn't surprisingly bad. But I knew it was dangerous to be in the nether in hardcore with only Prot 1 armor, so I went back to the overworld. Then I went outside to get some leather, and I totally didn't have to kill some horses for it because there weren't any cows nearby. Anyway, when I was going back to my base, I spotted a village, so I kept in mind that there was a village nearby. And I also decided to explore the village, and it didn't have many villagers for some reason, but it did have some loot. So I borrowed it and then went back to my base to sleep. Then I made a wall so my base would be more protected, and the final product looked pretty good, not gonna lie. Then I went mining for diamonds and it was very successful. Here is a cool montage.
Coming like a Hellcat.
Well, that was unexpected. Anyway, now from my mining trip I had a total of 21 diamonds, so I crafted diamond gear and of course enchanted it and wore it happily. Then I made an armor stand to put in my iron armor. And then the sun was setting, so here is a beautiful sunset with some chill music combined. Well, I hope that's good enough. Then I went to sleep. The next day I went back mining again, because I was getting greedy and wanted full diamond gear. But that greediness was gone for good when I found even more diamonds. So that vein had 10 diamonds. I never got this many diamonds from one vein. Then I excitedly went to craft myself the remaining diamond gear I needed. There it was. I was full diamond on day 10. Then I got a diamond sword and pickaxe too. Then I went to the nether. Not for a fortress or a bastion, but for netherite, so get ready for another montage. Here we go.
Back from the dead.
As you saw, I got a lot of netherite from that trip. I was very lucky. The trip back home was very long and my pickaxe was getting kinda destroyed. But when I got home, I happily smelt my netherite and did this. Basically I was full netherite at like day 13. I also made an anvil and repaired my diamond pickaxe, but that came with a cost of course. Then I decided to make a cow farm since my wheat has grown, so I crafted some fence, brought some cows which actually took pretty long, and I was pretty happy that I had cows. Of course I bred them because I needed a lot of cows. Then I went to get some food because I was getting real hungry. And as the sun set, I knew I had to go back home pretty fast, like I was still not taking risks even with netherite armor. So I cooked my food and then went to bed. The next day I decided to make a second wheat farm because my original wheat farm was barely giving me any wheat. Then I went back to mining, because I wanted some diamonds. I got 2 diamonds, kinda disappointing, but I still found diamonds. The rest of my mining trip I didn't find any diamonds, but I had found some other ores, so after that trip I went back to my base. The next day I decided to expand my base one last time to finish it. After finishing it, it definitely looked better than before. But I also wanted to replace the floor, walls and the ceiling with polished blackstone bricks. The problem was that I barely had any blackstone, so I went to the nether to get some. After remastering my entire base, which took over an hour, it was finally done, and it looked so much better. Then I crafted and enchanted 3 iron pickaxes, because I would need them. On my mining trip, I found a cave with diamonds in it. Six diamonds. I was pretty satisfied. But I kept exploring that cave, and turns out, there were more. This time I found 4 diamonds, with a total of 10 diamonds. I was going to my base, but that's when I spotted an amethyst geode. Of course, I got some amethyst shards and some amethyst blocks too. Then I happily went back to my base to sleep. The next day I went outside to find a skeleton wearing full chainmail armor. Of course I killed him, and he dropped the chest plate. I happily grabbed it and went to my base to put it in an armor stand, because I decided to make a chainmail armor collection. Then I decided to raid another fortress, so I went to the nether, and started searching for one. After a while, I finally had found one, so I excitedly went in it. I immediately started searching for a blaze spawner, eventually finding one. When I've gotten enough rods, I decided to leave. Also, I had gotten some nether wart so I could brew potions later. When I was back to the portal, I was relieved, because I was lacking hunger and health. When I was back in the overworld, the first thing I did is to cook some food and eat it. And then I went to sleep since it was night. Next day I made a brewing stand, because I knew I was gonna need it. And then I went to get some leather, and I didn't kill horses, I swear. After getting some leather, I spotted another village in the distance, and it wasn't that tall one. So I went to it, and felt good to see a lot of villagers living in here. But then I continued to get leather until midnight, and I definitely collected a good amount. After getting a good amount, I went back to my base, and surprised that the sun was about to rise. The next day I decided to use the leather and sugar cane I have collected to make bookshelves. Turns out I had enough for 8 bookshelves, meaning I had only 7 left to make. Then I decided to disenchant my gear and enchant it again, since the enchantments were better than before. Then I went to the nether because I needed more levels. So I mined a bunch of quartz to get levels. After a while, I almost had 30 levels. I also had gotten the achievement Return to Sender. After that I went back to the overworld. The next day and night I was collecting sugar cane, and as you can see, it was midnight when I was back at my base. So the next day I had crafted even more bookshelves, enough to make a full enchanting table. Then I went to get even more XP by mining quartz. Eventually, I had 30 levels. But I wasn't going to the overworld when I had 39 levels. I enchanted my gear once again, because I had a 30-level enchantment table. I was pretty satisfied with my enchantments, but I knew I was gonna upgrade my gear later. I didn't sleep this time, because I wanted phantoms to spawn so I could get membrane and then make slow-falling potions. Turns out I haven't slept only for 2 days, not 3, so I needed to wait another day. So today I made a chicken farm, and also brought some chickens to that farm. But while I was bringing those chickens to my base, I saw a spawner, but I left it for now, and continued bringing chickens to my farm. Once it was night time, the chickens were on my farm. While I was fighting some mobs, I saw a zombie with full chainmail armor, but when I killed it, it dropped its chest plate. I already had a chest plate in my collection, but I still didn't care. I had found some more chainmail armor. Also, for some reason, phantoms still didn't spawn. Guess I just needed to wait again another day so they could spawn. I also had looted that spawner. Turns out it was a skeleton spawner, but the chest had the disc cat in it, so I crafted a jukebox, and started vibing to it. Then I went to get some sand to get some water bottles so I could brew some potions. So I firstly brewed strength potions. And then I brewed speed potions. Then I made a loom so I could design banners. So I had to get some wool, and when I was back, it was already nighttime, and the phantoms finally spawned. It was a little annoying to kill them, but once I wiped them out, I've gotten a total of 3 membrane, so I went to sleep after I killed the phantoms. The next day I finally got to make slow falling potions. And I also made a banner design and put it on my shield, and my shield was looking way better after that. Then I went to the nether to kill some endermen for the eyes of Ender, and I wasn't gonna trade with piglins, because I think that killing endermen is easier for me. After a while of killing endermen, I went back to the overworld to get the eyes of Ender I needed. But the next day I went to mine for more netherite, so I could get netherite tools. And since I went mining, here is another cool montage.
Why we lose.
Trust me, the trip after mining netherite was really dangerous and brought me down to 2 hearts, but it was worth it, because I have gotten a total of 20 ancient debris. I smelted the netherite I mined and cooked myself some food, but that's when I saw a zombie piglet in my house. I decided to keep him since he was no harm. The next day I crafted the netherite ingots and turned my tools to netherite. I was feeling seriously rich by this point. Then I decided to get my potions of strength and slow falling and make the eyes of Ender, because I was going to kill the Ender dragon, and I said goodbye to my base because I knew that I could die in the process, so I threw an eye and followed the direction it went to. After a while of adventuring, I finally found it, but before going to the stronghold, I made a pillar marking where it is so when I had to go to the end again I would know where it is. Then I dug myself a hole, and I finally had found it. The portal took me a while to find, but when I found it, I set my spawn, even if it's hardcore, then put the eyes in the frames, and it was time to fight the beast himself. But before I enter the end, I made some chests so I could place some stuff in here. Enough stalling, here we go. So I broke the crystals easy. I didn't need to water bucket because I had slow falling. I was dealing a lot of damage to the dragon, until this happened. I had beaten the dragon in hardcore mode. I was really happy to see that. I had gotten all of the XP, which got me to 65 levels, and I also got the dragon egg. But I wasn't done here, I wanted to go to an end city as well. So I pearled into the getaway. It took me a while to find an end city, but after some time, I found one, which had an end ship as well, so I happily went to it. The loot was amazing in this city. As you can see, I was getting diamond and iron gear, but sadly most of it had curse of bonding or vanishing. When I finally reached the ship, I excitedly went in it, and there it was, the Elytra. The loot was pretty op. It had many diamonds and gear, so you can tell that the loot is very good. When I was done looting the chests, I grabbed the Elytra, of course. I also wanted to grab the dragon head, but when I broke it, and went to get it, I couldn't find it for some reason. But I didn't care, I just wanted to leave the end, so I luckily found a getaway near the end city, and then went back to the overworld. The first thing I did was to grab my bed, and then go up. When I got out, I made a shulker box since I had killed a few shulkers. Then I went back to my base. I also got a pet dog in the way, and decided to call him Josh. After a while, I had finally reached my base. So I decided to go to sleep. The next day I decided to make fireworks since I had an Elytra. I also enchanted my gear again since I had so much XP. This time I really got satisfied with what enchantments I had. I combined the Sharpness 4 sword with my Sharpness 4 sword, so I officially had a Sharpness 5 sword. I was watching the beautiful sunset, but that's when an army of pillagers interrupted me. I went to sleep, and then the next day I went to kill them. And that means I got the bad omen effect, but instead of drinking milk, I went to that plains village to activate a raid. So here is another cool montage of me killing the raiders.
Feel me like a Hellcat.
But that's when disaster struck. You saw nothing. I'm gonna revive myself like nothing happened, and I hope I won't see any comments about this death. But sadly, the next day I had to admit defeat, because the last wave was too much. I'm sorry, villagers. When I went back to my base, I felt very defeated, and I knew that village was dead, and I didn't even care that I had gotten a totem from that trade. I combined the crossbows I got from the pillagers. Then I made an armor stand to put the armor I had gotten from the end city. And as the sun set, I decided to kill some mobs. I mostly wanted to kill creepers, because they drop gunpowder and I need gunpowder for fireworks. So for the rest of the night, I kept killing mobs. The next day I was going to get some food, and that's when I saw another army of pillagers. Knowing the consequences, I killed them and went to drink milk to remove bad omen. Then I actually went to get food, and then I spotted the raided village. I decided to explore it, and it was actually dead. After getting some food, it turned night and I had to go back to my base, and then I went to sleep. The next day I made a lectern and went to the Taiga village, because I needed mending since my armor is getting beat up. Then I placed the lectern to see if any villager wants to be a librarian. Turns out, a villager actually wanted to be a librarian. So I happily started receiving his trades, but I forgot that I need a lot of emeralds for a mending book. So I made a fletching table to see if a villager wanted to be a fletcher. Sadly, no one was going near that fletching table. But I saw that the librarian can give me an emerald for 24 paper. So I made as much paper as I could and traded with that villager, but I forgot that you can't reset the villager's trades when you trade with him. So that meant I had to find another village that had a fletcher and a librarian. That's what I exactly did the next day. I went to find a village, and went to see if it had fletchers and librarians. I had found a village, which had exactly what I needed. I was mining trees and trading sticks for emeralds, and then trading emeralds for mending books. I was doing that for a few Minecraft days straight. After hours of doing the same exact thing, I had gotten myself 5 mending books. It was good for now, so I went back to my base. I also needed to make a new anvil, since my old one broke. So I put mending on my armor and my elytra. That means my armor and wings will never break. Then I went to the nether for quartz so I could repair my mending items. After a while, my gear looked good as new. So I went back to the overworld. Since it was nighttime, I went to sleep. The next day I went mining, and I had found a mine shaft that also had a spider spawner. It had kinda good loot as you can see. After exploring the mine shaft, I mined as much gold as I could, then went back to my base to sleep. The next day I decided to vibe to cat next to my dog. Luckily he didn't care. Then I went to get a name tag for Bubbles, because he didn't have one. After that, I made as many golden apples as I could, because I was planning to do something. Then I went to get sand so I could get glass. And I used that glass to make a box for my dragon egg. When I was done, it definitely didn't look great, but it looked good enough. Then I went to see the skeleton spawner, because I was about to build an XP farm out of it. So I started collecting the materials for it, and the next Minecraft days, I had all of the materials required, so I started building it, and eventually, I was done. So I asked for 10 minutes, and then I started killing the skeletons. Then I went to get some food. After a while, it was midnight and I still didn't go to my base, and also, phantoms had spawned. Then I went to my base and went to sleep. The next day I went to the nether fortress to get some wither skulls. Sadly I didn't get any, so I went to find another fortress and kill the wither skeletons there. But still, I didn't get any, so when I was going to the portal, I saw a bastion. But I didn't instantly go in it, because I knew there were brutes, so I just killed all piglins first, then went to loot the chests. The loot was good, it had iron, gold and even netherite. I also had found a gold block statue, so when I mined it, I was rich in gold. Then I actually went back to the overworld. Then I watched the beautiful sunset. The next day I went to my XP farm and I was AFK there for 10 minutes. Okay, then I went to kill some other mobs for XP. The next day I made and enchanted a netherite axe, because I was going to trade for mending books again. Unfortunately, I forgot where that village was and wasted almost 2 Minecraft days because of that. The next day I used all of my gold on golden apples. Then I went mining for a ton of iron and some gold too. After an entire Minecraft day, I was done mining for those materials. Then I went to the nether to repair my elytra, because it looked pretty beat up. After repairing my wings and returning to the overworld, I went to find that village, and to my surprise, I had found it, but I didn't bring my bed, so I had to sleep on a villager's bed. Oh, I also found a slime and killed it, so I'm officially a serial killer. Anyways, So the next day I got to work. I mined trees, turned them to sticks, traded the sticks for emeralds and then traded the emeralds for mending books. I did that for a long time until an emerald costed a stack of sticks, not 32. I continued to trade until I had 2 mending books. Because it was getting even harder to get mending. Then I went back to my base. When I returned, I put mending on my pickaxe and shovel too. Then I went to the nether to get some XP. But I did that to repair my pickaxe and shovel. After repairing my tools, I went to get some food. Then I repaired my looting 3 iron sword, because I wanted to kill creepers for gunpowder. After a while of killing creepers and mobs in general, I went back to my base to sleep. The next day I went to FK on my skeleton farm. By the way, that was 10 minutes and 100 times speed. The next day I decided to build an end XP farm. It was gonna be hard to build, but it was gonna be worth it. It could bring me from level 0 to level 30 in just 30 seconds, so I started collecting the materials. After hours of collecting materials, I even had to build a sheep farm for it. I had finally gotten all materials. But firstly I needed more shulker boxes, because I didn't have enough storage on my single shulker box, so I went to the end. But before going to the end city, I mined as much endstone as possible, and then made it to endstone bricks. Then, I went to the end city and killed as many shulkers as I needed, eventually collecting all the shells I needed for more boxes. Then, I went back to my base, and used those endstone bricks to remake my base. I also had crafted the shulker boxes and got some lighting rods so I could replace them with torches, but turns out, I didn't have enough endstone bricks to finish my base, so I had to go the end again, and return back to my base, but eventually, I finished it and it looked very good. Okay, now that I have a good base design, it was time to build the end XP farm, so I went to the end, and started building it. Everything was fine when this happened. Okay, so this moment, I was about to die. I thought of pulling out my elytra and fireworks will be too late, but it would have been fine. I would have survived. Instead, this is what I did. So unfortunately, I didn't survive 100 days, but I was so close. This was one of my longest videos and took the longest to edit, so I hope you enjoyed. Do you want me to try again? Comment down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye.